As promised, I'm posting this today, and I'm sorry it's late, but I couldn't post it yesterday because I was exhausted after everything we did yesterday, and there was no time to do it at all. And we're in the middle of a freaking heat wave now, and I don't even know how this week is going to go personally. But I'm going to do my best to do what I need to do this week. I'm just thankful that I don't have to do too much this week. That's thankful. Thank you, Jesus, for that,
Thank you very much for those nice words, and hello, conservative friends. I think this is the most exciting CPAC in 22 years. Isn't it fun to gather on the crest of our great victory last November? So things are looking up. We have lots of short-term goals in which we hope that the new Congress is going to defund the left, cut their money off, so that we can rebuild this country. Today I want to talk to you about a very different subject, one of our long-term goals. I believe that one of the greatest problems, if not the greatest problem, our country faces today is the epidemic of illiteracy in this country. The national surveys are truly appalling. They show that up to 90 million Americans, about half of our adult population, is only semi-literate. You would be amazed at how many people I run into, adults, people you think are reasonably well educated, who say to me, I can't read big words. If they can't read big words, they can't read anything important about the Clinton health care bill or about the national issues that are so important to the survival of our country. And then you look at the prognosis for the future, and you find that it isn't going to get any better. The national surveys show that in the public schools of our country, the reading skills are at least 2 years below what they ought to be. I think that our marvelous constitutional republic simply cannot survive as a nation of illiterate people. We have a process of self-government given to us by our founding fathers that depends on people being able to study the issues, respond to the issues, vote their convictions. We had a lot of lucky breaks in the election last fall. We had the advantage of Bill Clinton to tell people what was the matter with what was going on. We can't depend on that type of good luck always. We need to have a population that knows how to read about the issues. And the educational system is not dealing with this problem. They are trying to tell you they're going into reform, that they are restructuring the public schools, but basically this trend called outcome-based education is galloping across the country despite the opposition of parents. Outcome-based education is basically a dumbing down process in which you'll never learn the things that your grandparents learned in schools, and it is wholly dependent on a system of teaching reading that is called whole language. That is a guessing game. And what this means is that the new students coming out of the public schools will know even less and less all the time. Now, let's discuss this matter of how you learn how to read. Most people don't remember how they learned how to read. The book that had the biggest impact on my life was Rudolph Flesch's great book, Why Johnny Can't Read, which came out in 1955. My good fortune was that that was the year when my oldest child was ready to go to school. And I read that book and I believed what he said, that it was wrong to teach children to guess at words, to memorize just a few dozen words. What they ought to be taught was how to sound out the syllables of words. And then you can put the syllables together like building blocks. And then you'll be able to read big words. You'll be able to read the great books in the English language. And so I taught my first child, and then 5 others after that, how to read at home, and entered them directly into the 2nd grade. I can tell you that of all the things I've done in my life, that was the most fulfilling thing I ever did. It was a total success. They're good readers. They had marvelous academic careers, and they'll all tell you that being a good reader was the most wonderful thing that I gave them. It was a skill. It's a skill that you need to learn. And it is so rewarding and fulfilling for the parent who does the teaching. If any of you have children, I can tell you that the only thing I know to compare it with is a child first starting to walk. Those of you who've watched the excitement of a child walking for the first time can know that thrill. And that's the thrill you can have when you teach a child how to read. When he actually sounds out the syllables and then he knows what it is. Like sounding out grasshopper, and then he knows what it is. Your typical 4 or 5-year-old knows thousands of words, long words. He knows words like hamburger and upstairs and toothbrush and baseball and basketball. All these words, refrigerator, all these words. And this child goes into school and he's put in front of stupid little books where they're taught that they can only read things like the cat sat on the mat and looked at the rat. And he can't read a word like hamburger unless he sees a picture of hamburger on the page. Most people don't remember how they learned to read. But it is so easy, but it is a skill. It's a skill like learning to ride a bicycle. And it needs to be taught on a one-on-one process. I have read the instructions to the teachers for the first grade in this outcome-based education that is sweeping across the country. For example, the Oklahoma Learner Outcomes published by the state specifically tell the teacher to teach the child in the first grade to develop a sight vocabulary of a few dozen words. That means you simply teach the child to memorize about 25 words, and then they're used over and over and over again. Then the instructions tell the teacher to have the child guess at the words from what they call pictorial clues. That means look at the picture and guess what the word is. The instructions will tell the teacher to predict unknown words and to teach the child to predict what the word is from the context, or to skip over words that they don't know, or to substitute another word that seems to fit in the context. Now, guessing, predicting, looking at pictures, skipping, and memorizing are not reading. And it is so pitiful that all these thousands of children in the public schools every year are put through this type of a guessing game and not taught how to read. Even if the child ultimately learns how to read, the child will not be a good reader, and he will not be able to cope with the big words that are used in the great books. And about at least 85% of the schools do use this type of a guessing game, this sight reading that's sometimes called sight reading, whole word, look and say, Dick and Jane, it all means the same thing. And now they try to call it whole language, and to tell you it means that the child is going to be given great literature. It's not great literature. You can't read great literature unless you can read big words by sounding out the syllables. So at least 85% of the children will never be taught how to read in the first grade. And that means they will have year after year of failure and frustration. You know, we've known for a number of years that the biggest factor that correlates with people in prison is illiteracy. Last year, the Justice Department conducted a survey and did special research which shows that illiteracy, it does not only correlate with the prison population, it is a cause of delinquent behavior. They interviewed a lot of these juvenile delinquents, and they found that the antisocial behavior was directly due to the failure and the frustration that the child felt in class because he was not able to perform as he was expected to perform. In any class of first graders, you'll have some children who are taught by their parents, so they do know how to read, and some who will catch on very rapidly. But if the others are not actually taught, they will be embarrassed. And as one of these little boys said, I just like to fight, so nobody don't laugh at me. And that's what happens when they have this failure and frustration. They resort to delinquent behavior. So I believe that teaching children to read is absolutely essential. It can deal directly with the crime problem as well as all the other problems it can deal with. You know, in 1983, the National Commission on Excellence in Education that was set up by Ronald Reagan came to the conclusion, and I quote, "If an unfriendly foreign power had attempted to impose on America the mediocre educational performance that exists today, we might well regard it an act of war. We have allowed this to happen to ourselves." Well, yes, but it's gotten a whole lot worse since 1983. You'll find that all the figures about literacy and education have gone very much downhill in the last 10 years. Teaching a child to read is not difficult. You'll be amazed at how little time it takes. You don't even have to be a stay-at-home mom to do this. I estimate that an average child can be taught to read in 1 hour a day in 4 to 6 months, teaching the child in 20-minute segments, which is about the span of attention of a child today. It is so easy. I hear parents say, I've read to my child. Yes, well, you can read to your child for 10 years, and that will not teach the child how to read. You need to teach him that skill so that he can read to himself. I have worked for many years and finally come up with the tool that I believe can be used by any parent. It's called First Reader, and it is the whole package. It's everything you need: a 192-page hardback full-color textbook, a workbook, a couple of fat pencils for the child to make the letters in the workbook, and a couple of instructional cassettes. It's designed for any parent. And I will tell you that at the present time, we have 4 groups of mothers in public housing projects who are successfully using this system to teach their own children how to read. Many of these women have only a 6th grade education, and yet they are knowing the excitement of teaching their children and having real accomplishment so that the children can learn. It's not difficult. It doesn't take a teaching certificate. It doesn't take a college education. All it takes is the right tool. Most reading materials can learn. It's not difficult. It doesn't take a teaching certificate. It doesn't take a college education. All it takes is the right tool. Can learn. It's not difficult. It doesn't take a teaching certificate. It doesn't take a college education. All it takes is the right tool. Most reading materials out there are designed for classroom work, so they have all kinds of busy work to keep some children busy while others are being taught. Most of them have pages of instructions, or they're disorganized, or they have all kinds of frills like videos or music or something else. This is straightforward. It is a tool that anybody can use. My campaign at the present time is what I call Each One, Teach One. Before public schools came to America, that is before the middle of the last century, we had a nation in which it was the norm for families to teach their own.
But on other news, I launched and started officially the Faithful Parents Coalition. And I'm funding the website, I'm funding the Instagram, and also the official email of the Faithful Parents Coalition. And I also I got them already printed, so I'll hand them out first, and then I'll print the next 100 with the actual website and details for the actual organization. But that's fine. Those who get those cards can contact me, and I can give them to the proper places that I'll be doing the official stuff for that is. And people can join free. They can subscribe to the website, and they'll get newsletters in their email if they choose and they want me to send them physical copies, that's fine too. They can securely send me their email, their address through email, and my email has a VPN, so nobody will get their information. And then I can print the newsletter and send it out to them if that's how they choose to have their newsletter. I mean, that would be the more secure way, but I understand why people want to use technology also, so it's all good. But yeah, I have to set up the thing so that people will get the emails when I make a new post or article or anything like that. And tomorrow I am doing research for my first one, and then it'll be up on the website, and I'm really excited about that. Very excited. And then the only other thing I have to figure out is how to make sure that, well, I'm going to have a contact page. So I'll be making a page on the website so that people can have my contact information if they need to somehow get a hold of me. Other than that, it's all over Facebook and social media right now. I have one Instagram page for it. I don't know if I'll be able to make an actual group on Facebook, but I'm going to try. And then also a page on Facebook so that the group will be linked to the page and the page will be linked to the Instagram and so forth and so on. And yeah, and then I'll post all that stuff on the website, and then updates will be throughout everything. It'll be all intertwined, which would be nice, so I don't have to do too much. But yeah, I did this, and I'm also printing all the material and funding all the material, so all parents have to do is just get a bundle. I can send them to them. I can send them a bundle of whatever they want. Posters, cards. I'm making pamphlets soon, and then I'm printing pamphlets. I'm doing blitz size cards with just basic information on it, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm just so excited about this. So other than that, I have nothing else to say, and I'll post all the links below. And love you guys, and see you guys tomorrow evening. Later for now.